Thank you for tuning in and welcome back to the Sound of Coherency. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this section here. And recently we had the House Oversight Committee, which is dealing with the Twitter executives and whether or not there was election interference. Were they trying to bury stories and keep information from the American public leading up to the recent midterm elections? Aside from that, but over time trying to limit information that people had access to. Let's just go ahead and say going all the way back to the first election when Trump became president. So, but now we have some freshman blood again. Like I said, we have some freshman blood in the government now, given their chance to do some questioning. So here at the Oversight Committee, we had Miss Luna, who was we'll just go ahead and start with this one of her giving it to the Twitter exec. She really didn't hold any punches on that. So let's just go ahead and jump right into this.
Chair recognizes Ms. Luna for 5 minutes.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Roth? Mr. Roth, have you communicated with government officials ever on a platform called Jira? Yes or no? Real quick answer. We're on the clock.
Not
yes
to
or
the
no?
best of my recollection.
Not to
no.
your recollection? Great. If you did, in the event, communicate, who would have had access to this platform?
That's the nature of my confusion.
Okay.
Jira is
Did you ever speak to government officials on Jira regarding taking down social media posts?
Again, not to the best of my recollection.
Can you explain to me why the federal government would ever have interest in communicating through Jira, mind you, a private cloud server, with social media companies without oversight to censor American voices? I want to let you know that this is a violation of the First Amendment, and the federal government is colluding with social media companies to censor Americans. Mr. Chairman, I ask for unanimous consent to submit these graphics into record. And Mr. Roth, I'm going to refresh your memory for you. This flow chart
Without
behind
objections
me.
ordered.
Thank you, Chair. This flow chart shows the following federal agencies, social media companies, Twitter, leftist nonprofits, and organizations communicating regarding their version of misinformation using Jira, a private cloud server. On this chart, I want to annotate that the Department of Homeland Security, which has the following branches: Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, also known as CISA, Countering Foreign Intelligence Task Force, now known as the Misinfo, Disinfo, and Malinformation, MDM. This was, again, used against the American people. The Election Partnership Institute, or Election Integrity Partnership, EIP, which includes the following: Stanford Internet Observatory, University of Washington Center for Informed Public, Graphica, and Atlantic Council's Digital Forensic Research Lab, and potentially, according to what we found on the final report by EIP, the DNC. The Center for Internet Security, CIS, a nonprofit funded by DHS, the National Association of Secretaries of State, also known as NASS, and the National Association of State Election Directors, NASED, and in this case, because there are other social media companies involved, Twitter. What do all of these groups, though, have in common? And I'm going to, again, refresh your memory. They were all communicating on a private cloud server known as Jira. Now, the screenshot behind me, which is an example of one of thousands, shows on November 3rd, 2020, that you, Mr. Roth, a Twitter employee, were exchanging communications on Jira, a private cloud server, with CISA, NASS, NASED, and Alex Stamos, who now works at Stanford and is a former security officer at Facebook, to remove a posting. Do you now remember communicating on a private cloud server to remove a posting? Yes or no?
I wouldn't agree with the characterization.
I don't care if you agree. This is your stuff. Yes or no, did you communicate with a private entity, the government agency, on a private cloud server? Yes or no?
The question was if I
Yes or no?
to
Yeah, I'm
remove-
on time. Yes or no?
Ma'am, I don't believe I can give you a yes or no.
Well,
answer
I'm
to
going
that
to tell
question.
you right now that you did, and we have proof of it. This, ladies and gentlemen, is joint action between the federal government and a private company to censor and violate the First Amendment. This is also known, and I'm so glad that there's many attorneys on this panel, joint state actors. It's highly illegal. You are all engaged in this action, and I want you to know that you will be all held accountable. Ms. Gaddy, are you still on CISA's Cybersecurity Advisory Council? Yes or no?
Yes, I am.
Okay. For those who have said that this is a pointless hearing, and I just want to let you guys all know, we found that Twitter was indeed communicating with the federal government to censor Americans. I'd like to remind you.
She goes on to say that This was all in place before January 6th. But, I don't think that they ever expected themselves to get grilled like this or to be put in this situation. And again, like we've talked about before, your leaders won't always be in place. These things you do right now, which are done just to benefit yourself, you're setting it up so that if you are ever not the one in control, they can be used against you. You set the precedent for that. And again, he knew what he said. I don't agree with the characterization. The characterization doesn't matter. The point is, were you having the communications? And the answer is yes. And you're trying to, these answers of, I don't recall or I'm not sure, I mean, it is a thin line to walk, but the reality is you're just lying under oath here, and that's obvious. But it's being spoken in such a manner that one could just say you're playing dumb, really, when you think about it. And one of the things that's being real important is these companies get tax exemption. And, this is under the guise that they're supposed to be, as they portrayed themselves, and actually offered to be the modern town hall. That's what that was supposed to be for. That's what those tax exemptions are for. So that people are able to, such as in a public town square, be able to voice their opinions. Doesn't matter what it is or how you feel about it, because they have the freedom of speech, they're allowed to do that in the public square without censorship. And when the digital tech companies agree to take on the role as the digital town square, they forego any authority to be able to censor the public's right to speak or to attain information. Now, if they want to continue to do that, then they give up that right and should be held accountable for that. Begin paying taxes, but at the same time, it should not be overlooked what they did, and as I said, they should be held accountable for that. But I thank you for tuning in, and we'll catch you next time.